My question is actually really for staff, but about this presentation. Have you guys, has our professional staff had a chance to review the developer's presentation or some of these renderings? And if so, do we feel like they're accurately representing the revised plan?
Some of the renderings, yes, we have. Some of the photo simulations, tonight's the first time that we've seen those, so I can't comment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hamlin.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I think, actually, I think the mayor took care of the first question I had, which was, you did confirm that I think one of the depictions showed only one fence and trees, which looked to be on the private property side, but that's not going to be the case. Okay. The other one is you talked a lot about economic viability, and when we're talking about moving this project around and trying to accommodate the neighbors, it's been repeated in the media, over and over, that this project is coming straight back to us for incentives. Is that the calculation numbers you used for economic viability or not?
I don't think that's an appropriate question here tonight. What's in front of you is a land use decision, quasi-judicial decision based upon the evidence. We have not yet determined. We've had some preliminary discussions with your economic development staff about that issue, but we have not obviously designed the final project until now.
So you're discussing incentives with our staff, but that's inappropriate for me to ask about?
In this hearing, it is, yes. This is not the ripe issue in front of you.
Okay, well, so
we have not at this point decided finally and fully if or for what degree or for what we would ask for.
Meaning you'd have to calculate it based off no incentives.
We have to determine whether we need incentives to make this work once we get through this land use decision. I think you're asking questions that are not ripe or in front of you.
I think it's a pretty simple question. I mean, you're talking about economic, you need this for economic viability. What's your calculation?
In this quasi-judicial setting to determine a land use matter, this is not appropriate.
Okay, well, maybe we shouldn't talk about economic viability at all in your presentation. Secondly, you also you also there's a lot of talk about this being marketed to 55 and older, and there's a lot of talk about that they don't generate trips because they don't drive as much. Do you have a source on that? I mean, I'd almost like to take a show of hands of how many people are 55 and drove here tonight.
Again, we're talking about quasi-judicial zoning.
Well, I'm asking where we're getting these numbers that we're not going to generate traffic because people are 55.
We have not made that statement.
Oh, you haven't? You haven't.
We stand upon the traffic study that Jack very thoroughly articulated tonight. I don't believe that was in the contract.
Well, in the neighborhood meetings note, it says, I can read it to you if you'd like. And I don't know who wrote this. Yeah, it says many either do not have cars or are retired. So when you're speaking of the target market, and that's from the neighborhood.
We stand on the traffic study that has been thoroughly vetted by your staff.
Okay, so, all right, that's all I got. Thanks.
Mr. Lyons.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of my questions have been answered, but let me ask, there's a few more that are left here. So when we talk about landscaping, can you talk a little bit about how that landscaping is going to be maintained? In a way, it kind of goes to Councilmember Farasati's question. A storm comes along and blows over a bunch of trees, but there's ongoing work that has